Hi there, I'm Dr. Grace Bennett, and if you're watching this video, chances are you've reached an age where you've started to listen a little more closely to your body. The subtle clicks in your knees as you step out of bed in the morning, or that heavy, weighted feeling in your legs every time you rise from a chair. I understand that deeply, not just because I've crossed into my 60s myself, but because I've walked beside hundreds, maybe thousands of patients from their 50s to their 90s. They're not looking for miracles. They just want a simpler way to live well. Something gentle, natural, and sustainable enough to stick with without burning them out. And today, I want to invite you to revisit something so ordinary, so familiar, you've probably done it 1,000 times in your life, and yet never realized how much it could mean for your longevity and the strength of your legs. I'm talking about tea. Now let me be clear, tea isn't medicine. It won't replace movement. It won't replace proper nutrition or the deep rest your body needs. But the right kind of tea, prepared the right way, can become a small daily signal to your body that says, I'm still investing in myself. I choose healing. I choose to stay active, even as time goes on. Have you ever thought that a morning cup of tea could help keep your legs strong for 10 more years? I hadn't at first, but over the years in my practice, I've come to believe this. It's often the smallest changes that make the biggest difference. I remember one afternoon, a patient of mine, her name was Helen, 72 years old, she looked at me and asked, Grace, if I could only change one little thing a day, what would be the most worthwhile? And I didn't hand her a new prescription. I didn't recommend a fancy supplement. I told her, start with a cup of tea. Why? Because after 60, your legs don't weaken overnight. There's no big warning, no knock at the door. It happens slowly, subtly. Each time you sit too long, each morning you skip your walk, each evening you finish dinner and stay seated for 3 straight hours. And the heartbreaking part is we don't notice until the stairs become a struggle. Until we can't lift the grandbaby into the car. Until friends start using walkers, and we feel quietly alone in a life that used to feel so familiar. But here's the good news, and it lives in something so simple, you probably already have it in your kitchen. Matcha, ginger and turmeric, and rooibos, that beautiful red tea from South Africa. We'll go into each one in this video. But first, I want you to imagine this with me. It's a cool fall morning. You're sitting out on your porch. In your hands is a warm cup of tea. You can smell the calming scent of ginger and turmeric or the fresh, grassy aroma of matcha. You take a slow breath. Your heart rate softens. Your mind quiets. And for a moment, you can hear everything, the birds, the leaves. Your body quietly saying, I'm okay today, I'm being cared for. That moment, it's not just peaceful, it's biological. It's a signal to your cells that you're still choosing to resist decline, that you're building strength not through pressure but through consistency. And that's where matcha enters the story. I used to think matcha was just another form of green tea, something trendy for people into Japanese rituals. But when I looked deeper and saw real results in my older patients, I realized matcha is something more. It's a natural biostimulant. It doesn't leave you jittery like coffee. Instead, it does something else entirely. It wakes up your mitochondria, those tiny power plants inside your cells, to produce more energy, even if all you're doing is walking around the house or tending your garden. Matcha contains something called a powerful polyphenol. It activates an energy sensor inside your cells, much like what happens when you exercise gently or practice intermittent fasting. Put simply, egg helps your body behave like it did when it was younger. It burns fat, repairs damaged cells, and generates cleaner, more efficient energy. I once had a patient, Martin, 68. He had type 2 diabetes and weak legs after a hospital stay. Couldn't walk more than 5 minutes without having to stop and rest. I asked him to begin each morning with a cup of matcha, paired with one simple leg exercise, just 10 sit-to-stands every morning. 3 months later, Martin walked into my office with the biggest smile. He said, "Doc, you won't believe this. I just took my grandson to the park and we walked for half an hour. No breaks." Was it just the tea? Of course not. But that one cup at the right time, taken every day, became the small flame that relit his body's energy system. And then, there are days when you don't need energy. You need calm. You need to put out the fire. That's when I think of ginger turmeric tea. Each morning, I brew a pot with fresh ginger, dried turmeric, and a pinch of black pepper. That smell to me is a promise that today will be gentle. You see, our bodies after 60 rarely face acute inflammation. It's more often chronic. Low-grade, silent, drifting into our muscles and joints, making them stiff, tired, and slow. That's why your knees ache in the morning. Why your legs fatigue when standing too long. Curcumin from turmeric and gingerol from ginger, these aren't just spices. They're natural agents that soothe inflammation at the genetic level. They help your immune system stop overreacting and guide your body back into healing mode. One of my patients, Linda, 75, once said, "I haven't needed to massage my legs at night since I started having ginger turmeric tea before breakfast." What Linda felt wasn't just placebo. It was real, cellular change. And for those of you who are sensitive to caffeine, rooibos is a beautiful option. Naturally caffeine-free, yet still supportive of adrenal health, hormonal balance, and a calm, focused nervous system. And even more, rooibos helps increase blood flow to your legs, like watering the roots of a plant. Because if your leg muscles don't get proper circulation, it doesn't matter how much protein you eat, your muscles won't rebuild. I know it sounds too simple, doesn't it? Just a cup of tea. But remember this, your body doesn't need magic. It needs consistent signals. Each day, one intentional cup of tea, one mindful step, one deep breath. And in doing that, you're reprogramming your biology toward restoration. In the next part, we'll explore why our legs weaken without warning, the hidden role of the neuromuscular system, and how the teas we've discussed can help with balance, coordination, and reducing falls. One of the greatest risks after 70. But before I end this chapter, I want to leave you with this thought. Aging doesn't begin at 60. It begins the day you stop choosing to live well. And it can be reversed, the very day you pick up your first cup of tea with the quiet belief, "I'm investing in myself." When we're young, we rarely give our legs a second thought. We just move. Fast, slow, running across streets, standing in line for hours, even dancing until midnight without ever feeling tired. Our legs work silently like loyal friends, never asking for much. Until one day, you walk down the stairs and your knees feel locked. You carry a pot of soup to the table and realize your hands are shaking, not from weakness in your arms, but because your legs are struggling to stay balanced. You go out for a walk in the park, but you choose the closest bench and think, "That's enough walking for today." These moments don't come like thunderclaps, they arrive quietly. And what worries me most as a doctor is this: most people don't realize they're losing strength in their legs. I once had a patient, Charles, 73 years old. He lived alone after his wife passed. He seemed healthy, still drove himself to the grocery store, still cooked every day. Then one afternoon, he slipped in the bathroom. It wasn't due to illness, it wasn't bad luck, it was simply because he didn't have enough leg strength to catch himself after a small stumble. After that fall, he needed full-time care for nearly 2 months. His daily life turned upside down, but what made him saddest was this: "I really thought I was still strong, doc. I didn't see it coming." So why do our legs weaken without us noticing? The answer lies in something I often call silent erosion. Starting as early as our 30s, if we don't move enough or eat well, we begin to lose muscle about 3 to 5% per decade. And by the time we reach our 60s, that rate accelerates. It happens so gradually, you won't notice any difference in a week or even a month. But after 10 years, you stand up slower. Your steps become shorter. You breathe heavier. I often tell my patients, every step you take is a message to your brain that says, "I'm still young." And every day you stay inactive is a message that says, I'm starting to age. And this is why tea of all things starts to matter, because not everyone can go to the gym, not everyone can follow strict diets, but everyone can brew a cup of tea, each day, no rush, no pressure. When you choose the right kind of tea, you're sending a gentle message to your body. I still want to walk. I still want to stand tall. I still want to live independently. Rooibos, the red tea from South Africa, is one I often recommend to my patients, not just because it's caffeine-free, but because it helps improve blood circulation in the legs. One of the hidden reasons for weakening legs is that blood vessels lose elasticity. Blood doesn't flow as smoothly. Oxygen and nutrients don't fully reach the muscle fibers. The result: legs get tired faster, they ache more, they cramp. A compound in rooibos called aspalathin helps gently dilate blood vessels, reduce inflammation in the vascular system, and support better endothelial function. Put it simply, it helps blood flow more evenly down into your toes, your calves, just like watering the roots of a thirsty plant. And here's something people rarely talk about. Rooibos also affects the coordination between your nerves and your muscles. As we age, the communication bridges between the brain and the muscles, called neuromuscular junctions, begin to weaken. Signals don't travel as clearly. Muscles don't get precise instructions. This leads to tremors, instability, and worst of all, falls. Some studies suggest the antioxidants in rooibos may reduce neuroinflammation, protect those nerve-muscle connections, and help you stay steadier on your feet. I remember Joyce. She was 78. She used to be terrified of leaving her house because she feared falling. I encouraged her to drink rooibos tea each evening and practice standing on one foot while brushing her teeth. 3 months later, she returned glowing. She said, I went to the park near my house, all by myself, no daughter walking beside me, first time in 4 years. I'm not sharing her story to suggest one cup of tea will make you move like you're 40 again, but I want you to understand, tea doesn't erase aging. What it does is give your body the inner strength to face aging with more resilience. You can begin today, brew a cup of rooibos after dinner. Add ginger and turmeric to your morning tea. Try matcha during those sluggish afternoons. Above all, you're forming a tiny habit, a habit that sends your body a positive signal every single day. Maybe you're thinking, I never thought tea could matter this much. Well, neither did I. But after seeing an 80-year-old patient go back to grocery shopping on her own, after watching an elderly man stand up from his chair without needing to brace himself, all because of small daily changes, I've learned never to underestimate the power of one good cup of tea. In Part 3, we'll dive deeper into matcha and why it's more than just a trendy green powder. It's a powerful biological tool that helps your body generate clean energy, burn fat, and recover lost muscle. We'll also explore how the habit of drinking tea is connected to something far more precious: your ability to stay independent in the later years of life. I'll see you in the next chapter, where we'll keep rebuilding strength, gently, from the inside out. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. One of the reasons many older adults feel fatigue in their legs, struggle to get up from a chair, or feel drained after even the lightest movements isn't always because they're weak. It's because their cells are running low on energy, not because they don't eat enough, not necessarily because they don't exercise, but because inside every muscle fiber, the mitochondria, those tiny energy factories inside our cells, begin to lose their power. They get tired, they grow old, and they stop producing enough energy for you to move, to balance, or to recover from even the simplest activity. Here's the beautiful part. A cup of matcha green tea can help change that. Matcha isn't your typical tea. You don't just steep the leaves and toss them out. You drink the whole leaf in its finely ground powdered form. That means you're getting the full spectrum of its powerful nutrients. and one of the most remarkable compounds inside it is egg. I like to call egg the cellular wake-up call. It's a potent polyphenol that activates something in your cells called AMP, an energy sensor. And when AMP turns on, your body begins to do something remarkable. It burns fat for energy. It repairs damaged mitochondria. It rejuvenates your cells, even if you're just sitting quietly in your living room. I still remember Mr. Richard, 66 years old, a retired engineer. He once told me something that stayed with me. Grace, it's not motivation I lack, it's the energy to even get started. That hit me hard, because I know that feeling of exhaustion before you've even begun is all too common at this age. I suggested that Mr. Richard start his mornings with a warm cup of matcha instead of coffee. 2 months later, he told me, "I don't know if it's the tea, but I actually want to get up and move more now. I don't feel so sluggish anymore." Maybe you'd think that's just in his head, but science has shown that egg from matcha really does improve mitochondrial function. It helps your cells create energy more efficiently. And it even helps sweep away old, damaged mitochondria through a process called autophagy. Have you ever wondered why intermittent fasting, exercise, and drinking matcha are all linked to longer lifespans? It's because all three activate the genes responsible for repair and renewal, especially the sirtuin family of genes. And matcha, thanks to egg, can do that for you without needing strict diets or intense workouts. For many of my older patients, heavy workouts simply aren't an option. But I can start them off with 1 cup of matcha in the morning and a simple exercise. Stand up and sit down 10 times, slowly, with control. After just a few weeks, they're not only standing more steadily, they're walking with more confidence. They tell me about things they're doing again that they once thought were no longer possible. Matcha doesn't just boost your energy, it also helps blood circulate better to your legs. The catechins in green tea help widen blood vessels and increase nitric oxide production. That means your muscles receive oxygen and nutrients more effectively. Your body also flushes out waste products like lactic acid faster, the stuff that makes you sore and stiff after movement. What does this mean for you? Less muscle soreness, faster recovery, and no more feeling worn out from simple daily tasks. And here's something just as important: the act of making tea, sitting down to drink it, and feeling the warm steam rise to your face, that in itself is a form of healing. I have patients who lived on autopilot for years, who finally learned to sit still for 10 quiet minutes each morning with a cup of tea. And they told me, "It feels like I've become friends with myself again." Have you ever felt that way? The feeling of doing nothing at all, just sitting quietly, holding a warm cup and realizing you're still here, still breathing, still at peace. I believe that healing after 60 isn't a race, it's a return to yourself. 1 step at a time, 1 breath at a time, 1 cup of tea at a time. And if matcha is the gentle start to your morning, then in the evening, I like to return to another kind of tea, ginger and turmeric. This duo has deep, restorative qualities. You don't need a science degree to feel it. Just listen to your body after a few weeks. You'll know something's different. In Part 4, I'll walk you through ginger and turmeric in more detail, and why I call them the fire-soothing duo. Because they don't just support digestion, they help calm the silent inflammation that weakens your muscles, stiffens your joints, and makes even the lightest movements feel heavy. I'll see you in the next part, where we'll continue rebuilding strength, gently, from the inside out. There are things happening in our bodies that don't come with loud alarms. They don't hurt sharply. They don't scream for attention. They simply, quietly slip into our cells, draining just a little strength each day so subtly you barely notice. This is what we call chronic inflammation. A low fire, always burning quietly, even when you feel just fine. And here's the thing: chronic inflammation doesn't just affect people with illness. It shows up in most of us after the age of 50. Why? Because our bodies aren't as efficient at cleaning out cellular waste as they once were. Because modern diets are too high in sugar, too low in greens, and short on rest. Because we move less, don't sleep deeply, and carry around a mind that's constantly overstimulated. All of that feeds the fire. And this fire may not cause you pain today, but it slows your recovery. It stiffens your joints. It weakens your muscles. And yes, it can even cloud your memory. Have you ever felt foggy all day long? Not sleepy, but a kind of deep, quiet fatigue like a gray cloud is hovering over everything. That could be inflammation working quietly in the background. And this is where I want to introduce you to two of my most trusted friends, ginger and turmeric. No prescription needed. No fancy supplement store. You can find them at your local market. A fresh ginger root. Some turmeric, fresh or dried. A pinch of black pepper. Together, they're not just spices, they're deeply restorative tools. Curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, is one of nature's most powerful anti-inflammatory agents. It works by blocking inflammatory molecules like NF-κB, the stuff that causes swelling in your joints, muscle aches, and damage to blood vessels. But here's something fascinating. Curcumin doesn't absorb well on its own. That's where black pepper comes in. Piperine, a compound in pepper, can increase curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. Ginger works in a similar way. Gingerol has calming effects on the digestive system, relieves tension, and reduces inflammation at the cellular level. Here's how I like to make my morning tea: a few slices of fresh ginger, a pinch of turmeric, a tiny dash of black pepper. Simmer gently, let it cool a little, then sip it as a quiet ritual to start the day. People often ask me, "Doctor, do I need to take medicine?" And I often say, maybe, but first, let's try healing with patience. Elaine, age 70, came to see me with mild arthritis. Her wrists and knees hurt every morning. I taught her how to make this ginger turmeric tea. 1 cup every morning for just 3 weeks. No pills, no workouts, no other changes, just a warm daily habit. 3 weeks later, she returned and said, "I honestly can't remember the last time I woke up without pain. But now, every morning feels easier." I'm not saying ginger and turmeric are magic, but I do believe there are simple things, gentle things, that can do more than a prescription if we truly tune in and listen to our bodies. Because inflammation isn't just physical. It's emotional, too. When we live too fast, carry too much stress, and focus too much on everything out there, our bodies never get the chance to rest and repair. And that cup of tea in the morning, that could be your pause. The moment you stop and say, "What is my body trying to tell me today?" With the warmth of the cup, the gentle spice of ginger, the golden hue of turmeric, they're signals not just to your cells but to your entire being that you're choosing healing. Not just going along with aging, but stepping back into balance. In the next and final part, we'll talk about something even deeper: how tea affects not just your joints or your muscles, but your mind, your emotions, and your sense of independence after 60. Because living well isn't just about your body, it's about your heart, too. See you in part 5, where we'll talk about how to stay strong, centered, and full of life from the inside out. Imagine this with me: it's early morning. You step out onto the porch. A soft breeze moves through your silver hair. The sunlight is warm but not harsh, just enough. You're holding a cup of herbal tea, settling into a wooden chair under the shade of a tree. And for a moment, everything slows down. There's no rush, no to-do list, no alarm clock buzzing. Just steady breath and legs that still feel strong, even in your 80s. That scene, it's not a dream. It's real life for thousands of older adults living in what are known as the blue zones, regions of the world where people live longer, healthier lives than almost anywhere else. They don't live long because of good genes, not because they take a dozen supplements. They live long because they live slowly. They eat simply. They move gently every day. And perhaps most beautifully, they keep one nearly sacred ritual: drinking herbal tea. In Okinawa, they steep green tea with ginger and turmeric. In Icaria, they brew sage, rosemary, and mint picked from their own gardens. And each morning they don't drink tea to fight aging. They drink it because it's part of their rhythm, a connection between their body and the natural world. I once sat with a 97-year-old woman in Sardinia. She looked me in the eyes and said in slow Italian, "Non correr, respira, cammina, bevi qualcosa di caldo." It means, don't rush, breathe, walk, drink something warm. No scientific terms, no complicated advice, just the quiet wisdom of a body that has learned how to live with ease. And it made me wonder, could we, those of us outside the blue zones, create our own version of that kind of life? The answer is yes. We can begin with the little things. 1 cup of tea each morning, standing up from a chair without using our hands, a short walk after dinner, a moment of stillness, no screens, just breathe. Each of these small acts rebuilds the foundation of health that time may have worn down. Tea, whether it's matcha, rooibos, or turmeric ginger, is not a miracle cure, but it is a message. A message that says you still want to live with intention. You're not giving up on your body. You're reclaiming the most basic form of freedom, the freedom to walk under your own power. I remember a colleague who retired at 72 once told me, "Every morning I have 2 choices: to sit still and fade slowly, or to get up, make a cup of tea, and begin my own healing journey." What would you choose? You can begin today. You don't need to change everything. Just make a cup of tea, sit down, and listen to your body. When the tea touches your tongue, when the warmth settles into your hands, that's the moment you're sending a message to every cell in your body that says, "I'm not done, I'm still here, and I choose to live well." I'm Dr. Grace Bennett, and I believe you already carry the strength within you to begin again with the smallest of steps. A cup of tea, a single step, a quiet morning. I'll see you again in future videos as we keep exploring gentle habits that can change life after 60, because you deserve that. And because your legs still want to go far. If this message touched something in you, I'd love for you to be part of this journey with me. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the gentle, powerful steps we'll continue to take together. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone you care about, someone whose legs and life deserve a little more strength and ease. And in the comments below, tell me what's one small habit you've started or want to start after 60 to take better care of your body and mind. I read every story, every word, because your voice matters here. Until next time, take a breath, take a sip, and take care. You are not alone, and it's never too late to start living well. Dr. Grace Bennett.